Welcome to Wrapping Things Up, the podcast where we tie up the loose ends on all things packaging so you walk away with solutions. Coming up on today's episode. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrapping Things Up. I'm Meredith Denning, and I am here today with Mr. Bryan Lacey, our President and Chief Revenue Officer. Bryan, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm so good. Really excited to have you on the pod today. Per usual, I always ask our guests to give a little intro about themselves, maybe tap into your time here at Viking Basic, what got you here.
Yeah.
All of that.
I could speak to you for a very long time on what got me here.
Perfect.
Probably bore the audience too much, but I have been here for almost 14 years now. So an eternity, I feel like.
Goodness.
Basically grew up at Viking.
Okay.
I had a couple of jobs prior to coming here out of college, but for the most part, my career has been here. So it's a pretty cool experience for me. Started in inside sales, worked through project management, sales, and as an individual contributor, was blessed to be able to take over the sales department several years ago and now in this position. So it's been a wild ride.
Coming up on 14 years?
It's been a roller coaster.
That's crazy. Like super exciting, but still wild. Well, I always love to start off asking my guest a warm-up question just to kind of tease into the conversation. So before we talk about the market today, give us a 30-second version of your vantage point. So think day in the life of Bryan Lacey. What is that looking like? Who do you talk to? What are you hearing?
Yeah.
Dabble in that conversation as much as you're able.
Yeah. You get asked this question once in a while.
Okay.
In my position, like, what is it like to be in your shoes? It's difficult to explain because there's not like a typical day.
Okay.
Like, there is no normal day for me. Mondays are packed with meetings, one-on-ones, catch-ups with Matt, our CEO, Nicole, CFO. But generally speaking, I get a lot of different vantage points. I get to talk with individual customers. I get to talk with a lot of ops teams. I get to work with the sales team quite intimately still, given my role from a commercial perspective. So it's really a lot of broad discussions.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I get to kind of dig down deep into some of the more detailed aspects of projects in the business.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I have to set more of that like 2 to 5 year picture of how do we look down the road? What are customers needing? What do our teams need? How do we set up and invest towards, success in that 2 to 5 year range? So it's pretty cool. I love it.
Yeah.
I kind of get to dabble in a lot of stuff, but ultimately it's long vision.
So what I'm hearing is you wear a million hats. And basically, as you climb up the ladder, you just continue to add more hats on.
That's how it works.
But you're loving it.
Yeah, it's okay. It's been good.
Yeah.
I can't complain.
That's true.
If I did, nobody would want to hear it anyway.
That would be crazy if you were complaining. But anywho. Let's dive into the topic of what the market is actually saying in the current day. Based on everything that you're seeing across customers and deals and whatnot, what is the market actually telling us right now?
So I know we've talked a lot over the years about, trends and where the market is going.
Yeah.
It changes so fast now.
Okay.
I feel like time has just totally sped up in the last 5-6 years.
Yeah.
Compared to the first 8 to 9 years that I was here. It felt like everything just kind of naturally progressed for the first period of my career here. But lately, and I don't know if it was COVID, I don't know if it's just technology with AI and the advancement of so many different technologies, robotics. It feels like everything is just moving at light speed, and not even with the technology or with business or the industry, but also it feels like an eternity from a sales side of things.
Sure.
Nobody moves fast enough when it comes to decision making.
Yeah.
But ultimately, a lot of that is driven by labor shortages, even labor and the experience within labor, like that labor force. It's very difficult to find. People are trying to make more decisions quicker, but ultimately, there's just a lot going on right now at a very quick pace.
Do you think that lightning speed type of market is causing the market to feel like more confident, hesitant, or complicated? Like, is there more of a direction or all of the above?
All of the above, quite honestly. I think there's been a shift in, I think, from what I've seen over the 14 years, almost 14 years I've been here, there's been a shift certainly in like the generational talent that's in the industry.
Yeah.
A lot of the boomer generation is starting to get to the tail end of their careers in this industry. So a lot of that tribal knowledge is starting to become less and less in our industry.
Yeah.
At the same time, a lot of the new talent coming in is bringing different ideas and quite honestly, I would say much higher expectations for their suppliers for us to hit, which is creating some difficult dynamics in a lack of tribal knowledge on one hand with a much higher level of expectation on the other hand, and us having to try to bridge that gap from a sales process, from a applications process. Lucas Daney has been on the podcast before talking about some of that stuff. But it's definitely a different dynamic for sure.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, like you said, you are coming up to being at Viking Music for almost 14 years. Reflecting on when you started versus now, what's the single biggest change you didn't see coming?
I think it was something that it was almost inevitable with the way that the industry was working.
Okay.
But it's definitely a lot of like the handshake deals that took place.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
The industry when I started was everybody had contracts, but they were fairly loose. They were, quotes were, here's, what you're buying, but a lot of the details, a lot of the expectations were kind of a handshake behind the scenes, kind of like, oh yeah, I trust you, you trust us.
Okay.
We'll take care of each other.
Yeah.
That still exists, but not nearly to the degree that it used to.
Yeah.
Many, many more people are focusing on what is in the contract, and we focus on it too. We want a very, very clear contract.
Right.
Not so that we can point and go, ha, got you. There are clear expectations so our customers hold us accountable to them.
Exactly.
And that we know when we succeed. That is definitely becoming much more of a norm, not just driven from our customers, but honestly driven from some of the talent that we've hired here over the years too.
Yeah, definitely. What do you believe is being misinterpreted or overstated in the industry right now?
When we talk about automation in our industry, I remember joining Viking being like, oh man, like I kind of feel bad. We're replacing people with automation. What are these people going to do?
Yeah.
I honestly think that couldn't be so far from the truth.
Okay.
Like we don't replace a lot of people with our equipment.
Yeah.
It's oftentimes our customers are just not capable of finding talent. We live in an area that is very hard for even us to find talent. The labor market in Sheboygan County is very, very difficult. We have a lot of manufacturing here, so we're competing very hard. So any automation that even we bring into our business or that our customers are bringing in the way of our equipment is oftentimes not replacing people. It's just being able to let that company or our customer grow at a rate that they need to, or fulfill orders that they need to, that they just cannot supplement people fast enough with.
Right.
So the people that might be hand packing now are moved to doing something totally different within that company because they can't find people to fill those spots everywhere else.
Right.
So I think that's been one of the things that I've looked at over the years where it's like, man, I always thought like, I kind of feel a little guilty here. Couldn't be further from the truth.
But you came to realize that wasn't the situation. Yeah. Well, that's good to know.
It's nice. Yeah, it's nice if you have ethics and you care about people.
Yeah. You would hope that our customers and these companies would care about their people, and they do. Okay, so you get to talk to your customers a decent amount, right?
Less so now than I used to, but yeah.
But a little bit here and there. What themes or concerns keep coming up from what you've heard, and what do they collectively signal to you about where the market is?
The biggest thing is how do we get the confidence and how do we make sure that what we are buying is what you are going to deliver.
Okay.
Like what we are buying is actually going to do what you are saying, which I think is why you see, and I talked about some of the contracts and how do we put this into very clear language so that it's not just a handshake. It is a legally binding document that customers can use and we can use to go like, hey guys, this is what we agreed to. This is what we all want to and have shaped for the success of this project.
Right.
But so many people are just so concerned, rightfully so. These are big capital equipment purchases.
Right.
They're so concerned about making sure that what we're promising is what we're actually going to be able to deliver.
Yeah.
ROIs are being done on these things. There's a lot, people's jobs, quite honestly, are oftentimes on the line, much more now than they were when I started. So that is definitely something that I hear a lot from our customers. And that's really where I get involved a lot is once these like contracts are coming on board, more guarantees in these contracts, how do we make sure that we cover ourselves, but also are making sure that these customers are absolutely covered where they can hold us accountable to what we're promising them.
Right. And we've talked about that in previous episodes of that partnership that we really, really care about. And that probably has something to do with it in terms of making sure that they feel seen, heard, it's going to be okay, but also like what we're going to deliver is going to be exactly what you want.
Yes.
Do you think that these are newer patterns, or do you think that this has been pretty consistent over your time at Viking?
No, it's definitely new.
It is new.
Definitely new.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. It is for sure new. And I think a lot of it stems from, I don't know if I can put a year or a specific time frame on it. I think COVID, towards the middle to end of COVID, it's like the new timeline for everything, right?
True, it
like
really is.
COVID
it's
timeline.
like we're so sick of talking about it, but
like that's like the point in the sand that we can mark. So many people were trying to keep up with automation because of just massive labor issues.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people, I think, across the industry that just bought so fast. They didn't do their due diligence.
Yeah.
The sales cycles were so fast during COVID, which was great from a sales perspective.
Yeah.
But I think the whiplash of that certainly is that now these sales cycles are much longer. We don't get to talk oftentimes to the actual person signing or the owner like we used to.
Okay.
A lot of times now we're talking to the influencers within organizations, high level influencers, but they have to go get board approval or they're getting an owner to sign off on these, where in the past we didn't have to. So the sales cycle is definitely much, much longer when it comes to that, and certainly a little bit more complicated.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Customers say that they want speed, automation, and flexibility, probably all three at the same time, 24/7. Is that new, or is there something different about how customers are prioritizing certain things today?
I don't think it's really all that new when it comes to wanting all of it.
Sure.
We all want all of it.
Everybody wants
it. I want everything. I want the fastest. I want the best, and I want it now.
Yeah, fair.
We all want that. So that part of it is not new. I think the part of it that is probably newer more than it ever has been is more and more customers are needing high degrees of flexibility with their systems.
Okay.
They need somebody that is going to be able to help really guide them. One of the trends that I've seen over the years is a lot of our customers, we did a lot with co-packers. We still do a lot with co-packers.
Right.
We just had Mike Riley on from MSI, right? We do a lot with co-packers still. But I think now with how easy it is to start up brands, not necessarily build them, that still is very difficult. But a lot of our customers are very good at marketing and they're very good at knowing their product. They have absolutely no idea what they're doing when it comes to automating a manufacturing facility, which is why they get the Mike Rileys involved or the co-packers involved. But when they don't, they really need flexibility because they're not sure what it is that they're going to be doing in 2 years or 5 years, because I think it goes back to that speed thing. Everything's moving so fast that they just, while they might have a strategic plan for a 5-year growth strategy,
it could change.
It could change tomorrow with a Costco or a Walmart or a Target coming in and asking for something. They got to be able to be flexible. So the flexibility in the equipment that they're purchasing, but also being able to find someone that can really get all of that equipment to them or have a plethora of equipment is something that I think is very, very important to customers nowadays.
Yeah, that makes sense. You've kind of tapped into it, but I'm curious, what is actually driving investment decisions right now versus maybe what the buyers say is driving?
Growth is always the kind of the surface level reason. You know, we're growing, we need it.
Yeah.
And that's not to like poo-poo that. Like that's a reason for automating your
That's a valid reason.
You have to be able to make your product in order to grow. So that is certainly part of it. But I think it goes back to the labor aspect of it.
Yeah.
You just can't, from a secondary packaging side of things, labor has really just gotten thrown at that over the years. In the last 5-ish years, more and more customers are finding that the labor isn't there. You can't just throw labor at secondary packaging, which is why the secondary packaging market is skyrocketing right now, why it's growing so fast.
Yeah.
It's really, honestly, a lot of that is just driven by the labor market.
That makes sense.
And it's not just finding it, it's finding people that are actually capable and educated enough to be able to run these really they're complex machines.
Yeah.
We try to make them as simple as we can.
Yeah.
But ultimately it still is
you still need the right
complex system.
Yep. 100%. Kind of going in a little bit more about like the modern buyer and maybe what's changed. How has the decision-making process fundamentally changed from when you started to now?
it's gotten significantly longer.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just gotten significantly longer. There's multiple layers, checkpoints of sign-offs. Even in smaller companies, we still talk to some of the owners of companies. We're directly involved with people that are signing the check.
Yeah.
That still exists, but less and less, I would say. It's just not the norm anymore.
Yeah.
There are significantly more checks and balances within these decision-making processes at our company, at our customers, and even ROI calcs. There's a lot more attention, which again is a great thing.
Is important, yeah.
It's so good for them to be able to do, because ultimately if they're doing these, it makes the buying decision a lot easier. It justifies purchasing the equipment in a more objective way than in that kind of like, I think we need it, we're growing, we want to.
Can you just sign off on this real quick?
Yeah. So there's much more objectivity to it. But again, it all just kind of lengthens some of these decision-making
There's
processes.
just more people in the room to clear that decision.
Yes.
Interesting.
There's always a benefit to having additional opinions and viewpoints. The downside of that is it just takes
a long time.
Time.
Yeah, that's fair. And sometimes our customers don't have that time.
The unfortunate part for us is that we still have deadlines that we have to hit. So we have to try to have some very good, we do have very good conversation with customers to allow them to go, look, if you guys need time, take it. We will be here. We try to help them a lot on those decisions and, giving them some very objective data on what it is that we can hit for their production lines. But ultimately that time ends up really hurting them.
Right.
In the long run.
Right.
Kind of going back to the question, I think a lot of this longer time frame that customers are taking, I think they don't realize how much it's costing them in that decision-making process. When you wait for board approvals, which I totally understand.
Right.
But when you wait for multiple board approvals over months or quarters, the cost to not buy is significant.
Yeah. There's a balance between all of that.
Certainly.
And we've just got to find it together.
I'd like to kind of just balance it more towards quick.
You would hope and pray, but sometimes it doesn't happen. That's so good. Where do you feel buyers are now better informed, and where are some common blind spots that you're seeing?
Technology, the internet, all of it. I mean, obviously that existed back when I started, but I mean, it's mind-boggling to me how fast AI has developed. Over the last couple of years. I remember using ChatGPT like a year ago and being like, oh, this is kind of cool. It's like a cooler Google. Now, it is the information that I can get from it is I'm like, this is scary. What's going on?
You're like,
what are we doing here? This happened in a year. What's going to happen in 5?
Yeah. Literally.
So the ability for our customers to get information is very, very cool. I think part of the downside of that, though, is there's just so much information.
Yeah.
And when you don't have somebody that really knows how to decipher that or just kind of comb through what's relevant, what you really should be worrying about, it can be very overwhelming for people. So the technology piece, I think customers are wildly more informed than what they used to be. I think trying to figure out how to apply that in a practical way with a more applications-based mindset and what that information or what that machine is going to do for you in an actual production environment is where there's a little bit of a disconnect.
Yeah. Okay, so when a customer buys packaging equipment today, what are they actually buying? What are you seeing that they need immediately?
The easy answer, the surface level answer to that is they're buying a solution to crank out a lot of product.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people, when we go back to some of that technology or information that people are allowed to get, it's like, oh my gosh, I know exactly what I need because Google or ChatGPT or
told
Claude
me everything.
I'm an expert now.
Yeah.
I think surface level, the cheap answer is they're buying something to get them a lot of production. And I think that that's a very natural thing for somebody that's just not in tune or just, this is new. I remember buying my first house, I don't know what to do.
No clue what you're
so
doing.
I'll Google it and I'll figure it out. And I was an expert for sure. Made no mistakes on that first purchase. But the deeper conversation really is, and I know we've talked about it on the podcast, is they really need somebody that's going to help guide them.
Yeah, that they can trust.
They really need that partnership. It is so critical for somebody to be able to have the discussion of, look, this is going to get you X pegs per minute, or your throughput is going to be, X percent OEE or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people can do that. And a lot of people need that. On a board level, that is ultimately a lot of times what they're looking for to make some of those very clear, objective ROI type of decisions.
Yeah.
But the deeper discussion really exists in our ability or people's ability to open up and have these really good conversations about what is it that you really are trying to achieve. Oftentimes it leads to, well, bags per minute. It's like, okay, great. That leads deeper into, you know, what type of flexibility are you looking for? Is this one product that you're just honing in on and focusing on that you're trying to grow? Maybe we develop the system that's a little bit more specific for just that. So we optimize the speeds, we optimize some of these floor plans or footprints.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I go back to, it's the partnership. It's trying to figure out how to have these really good open discussions. Those are the most successful projects that we have, is when customers come to us in a very open, or at least crack the door open for us to at least prove that we're just looking to really truly understand, so that we can provide you, or at least shine light on the blind spots that AI, Google cannot provide you.
Absolutely. And that's only going to get the best result
100%.
if that's open, if you're having an open, honest conversation on both sides.
And look,
it's going to get you there quicker.
You're probably not going to hear this from a lot of people in my position. We are not a good fit for everybody.
Right. Yeah.
Like, we can sell you a piece, we could
That's fair.
sell anybody a piece of machinery.
Yeah.
But we are not a perfect fit for everybody.
Yep.
And that's okay. Like, that is totally okay.
Yeah.
But we don't get there if we don't have these really good conversations about what is your expectation, not just from an equipment perspective, from a partner, from a supplier. What are you looking to do down the road? If we have those open discussions, we can arrive at a really good point where we've walked away from projects before. It's just, look, we can't do what you're asking to do for a multitude of reasons. But it's really hard to do that when somebody gives us a 150-page URS that just says, here's my expectations, meet it or go away.
Yeah.
That's a much harder discussion to have.
Yeah.
And those projects typically are ones that we either kind of walk away from, or we try to work with them. We try to open up as much as we can, and we go after them.
Yeah, we want it to work just as much as they want it to work.
100%.
And if it doesn't, it doesn't. If anything, that's probably protecting both of you in the long run anyways, you know?
I've said this for a very long time. I don't want to sell one line to people. I want to sell 100 of them. I want to sell you the second and the third and the fifth and the 10th.
Back to that partnership,
You cannot sell the 10th or the second if you don't do the first right.
Right.
And that all leads back to that partnership.
Yeah, 100%. That's good. Leading our discussion towards the market and how it's maybe being misread. What are companies overcorrecting on right now?
I think that the beginning of my career, if we just kind of look at that 13, 14 year span, there were a lot of customers that I think got burned by these kind of handshake deals. There was no purposeful line to like any customers within the industry. I'm not even talking about Viking Masic specifically. I don't think anybody was like, hey, we're going to shake hands and then walk behind, fingers crossed, shaking hands type of thing. I don't think that existed. But I think because of the fact that there weren't clear, aligned objectives with these contracts, it resulted in, you get to the end of a project, somebody goes, wait a second, I thought X. And you're going, what? No.
We thought this.
We thought this.
Yeah.
Which then leads to, in my opinion, kind of the overcorrection of now everything has to be vetted out. And we have to have 400 layers of approvals. And we have to have all of these different things that aren't necessarily bad in a vacuum. But it goes back to the time thing. It takes a lot of time, not just for us, not just for our competition, but for our customers.
Right.
It takes so much effort, and then it costs them. It costs them in that slow decision-making process. Inevitably, every day you wait is another day on the back end that you aren't in that automated production facility being able to really get the benefits of the ROIs that you're looking for.
Yeah.
I think that's the overcorrection that kind of, there's a balance. I'm not sure where that is, but there's
We're
a
still
balance.
figuring that out.
We'll figure it out.
What assumptions about the market are still widely believed, but aren't necessarily true anymore?
When you talk about the secondary packaging and more so robotics, I think the robotics side of the business is one where you look at people and replacing people, I just don't believe that that's true.
Right.
Like and I would love to be, I'd be fine if I'm wrong on that, right? Like it's not like I have to be right.
Yeah.
I just don't see or hear a lot of customers talking about replacing people anymore.
Right.
That did happen, not to be contradictory to prior statements earlier. Were there times and are there times that people are looking at like, man, there's a really expensive production line right now. I have too many people on it. Are there times where people are getting replaced? Of course.
Sure.
But the majority of the time, from what I hear nowadays, I don't think people are getting replaced.
Yeah.
They're just not. I was at a conference just on this very quickly. I was at a conference last week on a lot of this. They were talking about AI. They were talking about replacing data centers was one of them, and all of just like the whole technology and what happens to people. Like, what do we do?
What do we do?
And one of the speakers brought up bank tellers and how back in the 90s when ATMs came about, people were like, oh, we're not going to need bank tellers anymore.
Oh my goodness. That's
the
wild.
reality is that the ATMs allowed banks to be able to be cheaper to bring up. So they were able to have more banks, which resulted in actually needing more tellers. They just didn't need as many at every bank. So they actually, the net was, we need more people.
Yeah.
Just not in every single location. So I think there's parallels to that.
Sure.
With a lot of what we're talking about when it comes to automating some of these production facilities.
Absolutely. That's good. What is a popular narrative in packaging that you'd like to push back on?
I'll speak to, which is not your question, but I'm going to speak to Viking Mystic, maybe not the industry. I think there's so much frustration at times with the sales team, even with me, where we're not looking to just sell you garbage.
Yeah.
We're not just looking to sell you what we have. We are not a company where we have, a catalog of product where you get to just kind of like pick, place in a cart, and we ship it to you.
Yeah.
So I think there's a narrative, just generally speaking across all industries, that sales is looking to they're just asking me questions that they can get to a point where they can manipulate me.
They're just trying to hit their number.
That I genuinely cannot tell you how far from the truth that actually is.
Yeah.
Do we have numbers to hit? Of course, everybody does at every company.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. But the genuine truth behind the sales process and asking questions and really having an open dialogue is really trying to get to a point where we can understand and guide people that really have access to all of that information that we talked about, but they don't have that industry experience that we have.
Right.
That we can really go, look, that is true, but this is actually a much better path for you.
Right.
And it's oftentimes that we give customers a solution that is less expensive.
Yeah.
Because we could get them to a point where we had an open discussion, open dialogue.
Right.
So that kind of flies right in the face of, we're just looking to sell you something.
Yeah.
I have sold over my career, I've sold to customers where I'm like, I am literally trying to give you a system that costs less than what you asked for.
Yeah. We're just trying to be good people.
That is not what my job is. If I'm fulfilling the stereotype, I will sell you that. We'll take the upfront revenue and we'll move on. But that's not ultimately what we're looking to do. So I think that like stereotype, this is a very biased answer from a former sales guy.
From how I started in my career.
We are not trying to just sell you stuff. We genuinely, especially in capital equipment, B2B, we have to understand what it is that you're looking to achieve. We have to understand the pain points. Yeah. Because if we don't, we can't really ultimately get to a solution that fixes those things. Yeah. Then it's just a guess.
Yep, 100%. To kind of close out our fun little episode today, I want to talk about the future of packaging and a little bit of your opinion on that. What are customers planning today that tells you where packaging operations are headed over the next 3 years? 3 to 5 years, I should say. Even though you just told me that it's changing constantly, can you tell me how it's going to be in 5 years?
Well, I think about this a lot, and I think maybe the best way to sum it up is the more things change, the more they stay the same. And I realize that just sounds like, what? Like wait, what? Things change all the time. Yeah. Surface level things change, but ultimately it is our jobs to, yes, I have to try to predict. We all are trying from an executive level, from a future standpoint, we're trying to predict where these things go. I don't know how anybody is doing that, quite honestly. I would love for them to come on the podcast so I can learn something on how it is that they are like dialed into this is exactly what is going to happen.
Yeah.
But ultimately, what I mean by the more things change, the more they still remain the same is at a fundamental level, we are still, from that partnership perspective, from this open dialogue perspective, we are still looking to paint a picture. We're looking at framing what it is that the issues are. Yeah. We're looking to fill in the voids and fill in those blank pages of a book or a painting with the challenges that customer are facing, and we adapt as quickly as we possibly can to it.
Right.
I don't know how else genuinely to go about it.
Yeah.
Because it is, like I said, it is changing so fast. The AI, all of the AI stuff is just wild. The technology that is advancing, it's so fast. Mm-hmm. The continual lack of labor in North American market is brutal. I know Europe is starting to face a lot more of that as well. It is a wild, wild west. Yeah. And we will continue to adapt as quickly as we possibly can.
Yeah, that's fair. There's, to what you said, say it again, what you just said, where it was the as we change or as we grow.
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yes, there's almost, that's so good. There's almost like a simplicity to that, even though you just said like it's like the wild west. Kind of is crazy, though. But like, there is like a simpleness in that understanding. So where I'm going with this is, why does it matter now more than ever in talking about that sort of a perspective or that type of a mindset of like, as we change, we're also kind of keeping the same fundamental things in line?
It goes back to all of the information. There's so much information. There's so much at everybody's fingertips that it is so easy. I do this all the time, personal life, with stuff I play around with AI. And you can go down these wormholes of trying to figure out exactly what you should do and, predicting the market in 5 years or what customers are wanting. Ultimately, in my opinion, it is the more you can focus on the fundamentals, the more you can stay true to being disciplined to what we know works. Yeah. We know that communication in an open fashion works. I don't think that technology is going to change that. It might change what our technology or what our equipment looks like. It might change how line operators interact with our equipment. But ultimately, there are fundamentals to business that you can constantly rely on that have not changed. And I don't think will change. They haven't changed since the advent of business. They're not going to change in 5, 10, or 100 years. And the more you can kind of stick to those fundamentals and the discipline around that, I think the more you're going to be able to adapt and be able to predict as far out as you possibly can what is happening, because those conversations are flowing with your customers. That's how you're going to get a better understanding of where that market is going. Yeah,
it's just trying to keep it in a world that's constantly changing, trying to keep it on a simple level where it's as easy as it can be for not only us, but our customers.
Yes.
That's good. Love that. If you were advising a customer making a capital investment today with a 5-year horizon, what would you tell them to prioritize or prioritize differently?
Find somebody that you can be wide open with your issues.
Okay.
Because that ultimately is where you are going to find a very good solution. That, again, that doesn't mean it is always going to be Viking basic.
Yeah.
But taking that step towards the center of, okay, I'm going to be vulnerable with my challenges. I'm going to just be wide open, and I'm going to then just listen to what is out there, what solutions we can provide, others can provide. The constant dialogue is what I would recommend to anybody. And I realize that might be like, well, that doesn't solve anything from like a manufacturer perspective. Like, what the hell is that going to do when it comes to my manufacturing or production line? But ultimately, if you have those discussions, that is what is going to produce a much more predictable or a much more fine-tuned system that is geared towards your issues. The other part of that is, the other side to that is, try to know your business as well as you can in terms of like where you want to go. So being able to have a highly flexible production facility is ultimately the other kind of thing or bit of advice that I'll give people. It's be wide open with the challenges that you're looking to solve, and or just be vulnerable with like, I don't even know. Help me understand. You guys see this a lot more than what a customer, or we see it a lot more than what a customer is going to see. Be wide open to allowing us to shine those. And then the other side, flexibility. You guys know your business. We know packaging. Let's have an open conversation and talk about it. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Bryan, that's all she wrote. Thank you so much for being on the pod today. This conversation was so much fun. Really appreciate you taking the time out of your very busy schedule to come and hang out. Yeah, it's fun. Thanks, guys, for joining us today on Wrapping Things Up. As always, if you have not subscribed, do that. You can also find us on LinkedIn, YouTube, and any of your packaging automation questions can be answered on our website, vikingmasic.com. See you guys next time. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Wrapping Things Up. Make sure you follow and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Stay up to date by checking out Viking Masic on social media. Thanks for watching.